10 Most Haunted Cemetery in the World. Not all the dead can rest in peace. Sometimes spirits linger, haunting the overgrown paths that wind through old graveyards and spooking those who dare tread upon their bones. In this video, ScaryAvery featured top 10 most haunted cemetery in the world, including Colonial Park Cemetery, 100 Step Cemetery, Les Catacombs, and many more. If you have any experience about being haunted, write in the comment section and we will pick top experience to be featured in our next video. Get yourself ready to face your fear. Number 10. Bonaventure Cemetery, Georgia. Located along the Wilmington River, Bonaventure Cemetery is known for its gorgeous magnolia, dogwood and live oaks, colorful azaleas, and interesting tombstones. This beautiful setting has made the more than 150-year-old burial ground one of the most photographed cemeteries in the country. Made famous for its role on the cover of the bestseller Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, Bonaventure beckons tourists to stop by. But among all natural beauty, there's a supernatural side to the cemetery that draws in ghost enthusiasts and curious visitors from all over the world. The most well-known spirit here is that of little Gracie Watson, who died of pneumonia at 6 years old. A statue that was carved in her honor stands in front of her gravesite, and many people place coins and toys at the base of the statue. Those who've stood close to her gravesite have reported seeing the beautiful little girl, and others have said that they saw tears of blood streaming down from the angel's eyes. Bonaventure has several other elaborate statues, and guests have told accounts of them grimacing and smiling at them when they stood in front of them. This cemetery is not without its spooky or inexplicable sounds, like that of a baby crying near an infant grave, giggling children, or perhaps the most disturbing, the sounds of a pack of dogs snarling and barking angrily. No one has ever seen the dogs, but many have heard them. Number 9. Old Jewish Cemetery, Prague. A burial complex in Prague has a story that will get you goosebumps. This ancient Jewish cemetery was originally built in the 15th century with Avigdor Kara's tombstone dating from 1439 to 1787. The number of tombstones with people buried is uncertain because the tombs continue to be piled up in several layers. At present, the number of headstones appears to be around 12,000, and there are probably over 100,000 buried here. This cemetery is one of the haunted places and is often used as a place for paranormal activity. People often saw the movement of spirits between these dead headstones. Number 8. La Recoleta Cemetery, Argentina. There are many stories of haunting and curious happenings here. One of those was the tragic story of 19-year-old Rufina Cambeseres, who was a socialite and the only daughter of a famous Argentine writer, died suddenly in 1902. It was raining on the day her casket arrived at Recoleta, so it was left in the chapel overnight. Legend has it that a cemetery worker noticed the casket lid has been shifted, and since Rufina was from a wealthy family, they thought someone might be after her valuables and have robbed the grave. However, when her casket was opened and closely examined, the truth was much worse. None of her jewelry was missing out, but instead, they found scratch marks on her and all over the inside of the casket. She had been mistakenly presumed dead and was buried alive. Later thought that she had collapsed from an attack of catalepsy, which caused several doctors to believe that she was dead. When she woke up and found herself sealed in a casket, the fright The third and fourth attempt of escape eventually gave her heart attack, which became the real cause of her unfortunate death. Number 7. Capuchin Crypt, Rome. This small crypt is decorated with the bones of nearly 4,000 skeletons, likely those of Capuchin friars. The bones cover the walls floor to ceiling, nailed there in patterns and designs. Some serve as a frame to a sort of altar, while others hang from the ceiling as light fixtures. The area has several tiny chapels making up different crypts, 4 of which are named after various bones in the human body. And the most exciting part is a sign in 5 languages states it best. What you are now, we used to be. What we are now, you will be. Do you understand the meaning? Number 6. Valleys of the Kings, Egypt. The Valley of the Kings is a place where, for a period of nearly 500 years from 16th to 11th century BC, tombs were constructed for the pharaohs and powerful nobles of the New Kingdom, the ghost of Akhenaten. The pharaoh Akhenaten, who ruled from 1353 until 1335 BCE, was a follower of a god Aten, the sun god, and declared that he and his wife Nefertiti were Aten's sole representative on earth. He dismantled the elaborate religious structure of ancient Egypt that was based on Ammon and many other gods, abolishing its worship, dismissing priests, and demolishing temples. After Akhenaten's death, the old religion revived, and it is said that the priests cursed him, wander as a ghost for the rest of the time. To this day, people still claim to have met Akhenaten ghosts in the desert of Egypt. When the pharaohs dies, they do not haunt the desert as rabid zombies as modern fiction depicts, but instead, they return as ghosts. Number 5. Lubbock Cemetery, United States. Containing about 60,000 graves, Lubbock Cemetery is the third largest in the state. The Texas Paranormal Research Society believes it's home to angry spirits including floating orbs and glowing apparitions. The first person buried here was a young cowboy named Henry Jenkins who died in 1892. Other residents include famed rock star Buddy Holly, whose tragic death on February 3, 1959 came to be known as the day the music died. Holy graves continue to stand watch over the grave of Julio Herrera, Lubbock's first fallen policeman. The angel was caught by artist Charles Umlauf in 1957. According to urban legend, if you visit the grounds at night and attempt to leave without kissing the angel's feet, a ghost will stop you from departing the cemetery. Can you do that? Number 4. Resurrection Cemetery, United States. It is in Chicago, Illinois, located in 7201 Archer Road, Justice, Illinois. Many people say that Resurrection Mary, a ghost that is said to haunt the surrounding highway, cemetery, and the ghost Willowbrook Ballroom. Resurrection Mary has been seen by more people than any other ghost. She apparently got into an argument with her boyfriend and decided to hitchhike home. Somewhere in between the ballroom and the main gates of Resurrection Cemetery, nearly 2 miles away, she was struck and killed by a hit-and-run motorist and left to die on the side of the road. Within a few years, people began to see a girl in a long white dress and blonde hair thumbing for rides along Archer Avenue 1. Would you give her a ride? Number 3. 100 Step Cemetery, Brazil. It is not any surprise that cemeteries have spawned dozens of eerie urban legends throughout history. Every time another loved one passes, we push the pause button on our daily lives to ponder the unknown. When life comes to a stretching halt, what comes next? When will I die? How will I die? If you travel to the 100-step cemetery in Brazil, Indiana, that kind of curiosity just might kill you. The official address of cemetery range from 7114 to 7140, North Country Road of 675 West if you are on Highway 40 in Indiana. You are coming from the east side of the state heading west and you reach the Marathon gas station, turn around. Because too many horror movies start at Becker's gas station, and you have gone too far. Populated by headstones dating all the way back in the 1890s, the cemetery itself sits atop a large hill, but the 100 steps begin at the end of the road. According to the legend, anyone who counts every step and reaches the top at midnight will be approached by the ghost of an undertaker. This grim figure will show you a vision of your death. If you fail to count the same number of steps on your way down, the vision will come true. If you walk up the side of the hill rather than the steps, a phantom hand will push you to the ground. Number 2. Les Catacombs, France. For a long time, Paris has been a popular destination. The city grew so rapidly it struggled to deal with death, and by 17th century its cemeteries inundated with bodies and began to overflow. The issue grew to become a genuine health concern and caused an influx of complaints from residents and businesses about the smell of rotting flesh in the air. After flooding caused a wall to break in Les Innocents, allowing bodies to spill onto the street, action was finally taken to resolve the corpse crisis. In 1786, the go-ahead to exhume, relocate the cemeteries of Paris was declared. For 12 years, the remains of approximately 6 billion people were dug up and moved to abandoned ancient stone mining networks underneath the city. Some of the bones even date to being 1,000 and 200 years old. Initially, the bones transport were left organized. Later renovation in 1810 set out the categorized the remains the stacked skulls and femurs into the patterns that can be seen today. The Paris Catacombs are a fascinating and spooky place to enter. Dare to visit? Number 1. Colonial Park Cemetery, Georgia. Considered one of the most haunted places in the city, Colonial Park Cemetery is the oldest burial ground in Savannah and is located within the heart of Savannah History District. Burials here began in 1750, making it the final resting place of many of Savannah's earlier residents. The numerous ghosts and apparitions, mysterious sounds and sights are believed to be caused by the tragic deaths of the thousands of victims of the yellow fever epidemic. And the many during deaths, there were too numerous to count. Whatever the cause, it is not disputed that this historic cemetery has its share of eerie events. There's one ghost that seems to be more visible than the others, a man who was convicted of murder, and the story goes he was hung inside the cemetery from a tree. Many who visit say they have seen Rin Rodolier hanging from that same tree. Others say they saw him walking amongst the grave. The story of Rin Ghost has been repeated so many times that some call the cemetery Rin's playground. The other sightings and mysterious encounters include voices, shadowy figures, and more. So guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And see our next video about top 10 musicians' mysterious death. See ya!